Yeah, man, today I'll be reacting to another Mandalore gaming video. This one is Pathologic 2, which, if I'm not mistaken from the previous one, this is just the first one, but with a revamped UI maybe? Or is it? It's basically the same game, but remade, but called the second one for some reason, so I don't know what else is there to cover, unless if they drastically change the story or something like that. But like we know the twist, I guess, at the end, unless if they change that as well. So yeah, I mean, it looks from this one pause frame here does look better in a sense. But yeah, let's just see what it's about. Yeah, it does look better. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Sure. Oh, it actually tells you the you're like standing with the group on the top right. Maybe it did on the previous one and just never showed it like that.
I've got to say, it's good to be back, even if I didn't think I'd be back here so soon.
Oh yeah, quality of life stuff that's improved, supposedly, so I think that's like the one thing I forgot to say.
I said no more weird Russian games for at least a year, I meant it. The thing is, for one, I didn't expect them to release Pathologic 2 so soon,
Right.
and two, I didn't think they'd contact me that very day offering me a copy of the game for feedback.
Oh wow.
So, here we are.
Cool.
Let me start by answering the most common questions I've seen. Is Pathologic 2 a remake of 1? Yes. Is it an actual sequel to 1? Yes. Do you need to play 1 to understand 2? No. See,
Okay.
the game starts at the end of Pathologic 2, or maybe the end of Pathologic 1, it doesn't really matter. Essentially, you start the game having lost it, and you're given a chance to restart. Kids are just playing hopscotch in a war zone, and going to barbecues. You get the idea.
So it's, I know, like I mean, I haven't played it. I mentioned in the first one, I do have it on Steam. I just haven't played it. So, based off of that, it does sound like, if I think I might be completely wrong with this, but like Pathologic 1 is similar to like Final Fantasy VII Remake, and 2 is like Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate or something like that, where it is basically the same thing as the first one, with some slight changes, and then there's like an additional story, so there is like some more stuff to it compared to the first one, I think. Like I said, I could be completely wrong.
So, how is it a sequel? Well, the first game is referenced from time to time,
Oh.
though it's always going to be subtle and usually up for interpretation. It's typically not story elements because, like I said, this is also a remake, but more meta commentary on how the first game turned out.
Oh.
This is more like a film remake than a game remake. The
Oh.
main idea and framework, yeah, that's usually the same. A person might share the same name, but they're a completely different character now. Some huge plot elements can be reworked or torn out or added in, it's all up in the air. Pathologic 2 does all these things, but still acknowledges that the plot of the first game still happened.
Interesting.
It may even challenge you on which you prefer, though the story isn't that much different than 1. Don't worry, they still have all the trash cans everywhere.
It looks
The
better
dual
though.
nature of the game does make it tricky to talk about, so I'll talk about it as a sequel and a remake, which is going to get messy, but it's okay, we're here together. You know, because taking on one fever dream game by itself was just too easy.
Right.
So here we go again. The game starts you off on a train and with a new friend. The kind of friend who emerges from a coffin and then wants to tell you a
Right.
secret. Just like in middle school. This begins one of the most surreal tutorials I've played in a game. You're learning how to drink water and people are turning into mimes.
Alright, so they actually added a tutorial. Okay.
Then all of a sudden you're in Junji Ito's Mongolian Thunderdome, and then you learn how to trade by exchanging hearts. This is a long
Right.
tutorial sequence, but it is effective. Yeah, it's teaching you how to play, but it's also making the drop into the main game more cushioned.
Yeah.
You're starting off in the land of
Yeah.
visions and metaphors. It's disjointed, so arriving in the town feels like a relief from all of that. At least for now. There'll be a lot more to learn, but it's a great introduction. You know, it tells you what the buttons do. Unlike 1, that just had these two guys giving you a huge information dump.
Right, and then like if you did something wrong, even here you would still die. Also, you didn't mention that I in 2, do you still get to choose the characters? Because like in the first one there was 3, or I guess 2, and then you unlock the third one later. But
They say so much at once that you can easily miss out on essential info.
yeah,
This is probably why a lot of players didn't know they could receive mail. It would all be cryptic unless you looked in the controls. You might think it's odd to focus on the tutorial. Well, it represents the biggest change from 1 to 2. See, the first game wasn't just frustrating from the walking, even though that was a big part of it. It was the fact that you were frequently so aimless when playing it.
user experience is shockingly a good thing.
You had all these
Or I mean to like have a good user experience rather than just like, oh, you're here in the game, just go on about. Like I mean, it works from time to time, but could it be better if the user experience is improved? Sure, yeah. Like I said in the first one, I like if it minus all like the exposition and all the game, all like the surviving stuff. Like the city, the area itself seems like a good place to just wander. Like I would spend time wandering around in like a setting like this. But like I said, if there was a better user experience, then it would make it that much better.
characters to babysit, and you check on them, and usually they'd be fine, but sometimes they'd be in trouble. And you did this by walking across town, and then you'd stare at them in the
Yeah.
face. The difficulty from the first game did not come from hard survival mechanics. It was really easy to farm bandits and have lots of supplies forever. The challenge came from constantly walking, wondering if you're wasting your
Yeah.
time doing it, along with mundane nightmare missions like this one.
50
I know I'm getting
vitamin
ahead of
pills.
myself, but this is a big change. Pathologic 2 teaches you more and shows you more. The
And instead of 50, now you just only have to get 5.
game is still more difficult, but as a
Oh.
survival and decision challenge. I'm deciding if I should fight or get the hell out. I'm not walking across town to someone who might be in trouble to just check up on things and wondering if rat poison will stop my heart.
Right.
I got ahead of myself there. Some of you don't know what this game is all about. You play as a surgeon named Artemy. He's been off
Oh.
studying in the big city when he receives an urgent letter from his father to return home. So he
So you don't even get to choose one of the 3. You get a completely new player. Okay.
does, and 3 people immediately try to shank him in a train yard. It quickly becomes apparent why he left because the town is bizarre. Bizarre beyond the murderers and the furries, which are part and parcel of any city.
Right. The T-pose.
You don't know where the town is, it doesn't really have a name besides just the town and the Gorkin River. It's also uncertain when exactly this game takes place. I mean, yeah, there's a gramophone, but also the giant floating polyhedron tower.
Yep.
There are also the creatures who want to trade organs or give you a canal tour. Then you have all the townspeople. They're all over the place. Some look like Mongolian shepherds, Turn of the Century men, anime villains, the Smime. This town is out of time and space. It's an alien culture that the character Artemy has to relearn, and you, the player, have to learn from scratch. A situation like this would be hard to order a meal in. In Artemy's case, it turned out that his father was murdered and there's a serial killer on the loose. Many suspect the killer to be something called a Shabnak step demon, and that it heralds the arrival of a deadly, incurable plague. Artemy has come
Right.
back just in time for the opening of mass hysteria. You'll need to discover who killed your father, save the town, and save yourself. Now that you have the gist of it, let's go over the presentation in detail. On a technical level, the game is very impressive looking. The superb lighting, shadows, and reflections do a lot to generate atmosphere. Besides just being nice looking when you're moving through the game world, it's used incredibly effectively in the set pieces too.
Yeah.
Pathologic 2 has a lot of creepy and surreal visuals, especially when you compare it with its predecessor. A lot of these graphical techniques just weren't available for the first game.
Yeah.
So not only do they come off a lot stronger, there's just more of them in general. Unfortunately, it's not a perfect improvement.
Oh.
In conversation, the character models are great, and they have a lot
Yeah.
of subtle animation to them. They do breach into the uncanny valley sometimes, but that could be intentional. Whatever, it doesn't look like Mountain Blade anymore. The animations outside of those, particularly in combat, are pretty janky. It almost looks like they're recorded at a lower frame rate than the game is actually running at.
Yeah, that swing is so slow.
People slide around a lot, and some things just look so odd that it gives everyone a kind of mannequin feeling. There's still a lot of great animation
Mannequins.
work, but the lesser ones will take you out of it. Speaking of that kind of thing, there are some graphical issues.
Aw.
Mainly these stutters and slowdowns. They seem to happen right before or slightly after entering a new area. It could happen by going from outside to inside, or you're just walking through town and you cross an invisible loading line and
It's kind of like how I think that's kind of how Half-Life did it, except they actually told you that you're loading into a new area by having the words loading in the screen. But if you take that out, then you're essentially just having that stutter issue. I mean, it's not really an issue, but you're just having that stuttering as you switch between maps. And I believe, what was that game? Tony Hawk's American Wasteland also did it too. Like they touted it as, like the first Tony Hawk game where you didn't have to load areas in between, like you didn't have to load areas. It's just one big entire map of skateboarding stuff. But I mean, these areas were connected by long hallways, and they did the loading in those hallways. So there would be some stuttering there. So yeah, it is what it is in terms of that. Because I don't, aside from making the entire map available, which might be worse in terms of using resources, I don't know how they would sufficiently get rid of that stuttering, right?
Everything stops. This did improve after a patch, but it could still happen occasionally. I always thought the game was about to crash, but to its credit, that never happened. The true terror of this issue only arrives in combat. There's nothing like fighting a leper with a rusty shank and wondering if you'll die to time dilation instead. It never actually screwed me over, but it could have, and that needs fixing.
It's not in the best shape as it is.
Now as for the art direction, that is excellent.
It
The world of
looks good.
Pathologic has a very interesting look to it. At a quick glance, the town might look like a typical early 20th century European town,
No
but
one
it's
cares
also being
about you.
influenced by a tribal steppe culture. They bring with them innovative ideas like regarding bulls as being sacred. This is a direct contrast to the town who's starting to industrialize. But rather
Okay.
than being completely at odds with each other, a lot of the town is a fusion of both cultures. The house looks European, but it has tribal tapestries and
And then you still have that monolith of whatever it is that was from the sky.
side. Makeshift contemporary hospital, shamans wearing bow and bird costumes with glowing eyes. It goes
Right.
beyond just picking out which element would belong to which side and blends into being its own thing. For example, the giant superstructures that are just looming over the town ominously. It's hard to pick a category for those, and going inside them doesn't help much. Having this style work without being a complete mess is already a feat, but there's an entire other layer on top of it. Everything you've seen is
that's
underneath the
freaky.
theatrical presentation. It's like a big scary play. It's not hidden or subtle either. Right when you get to town, there are stage lights. Characters might act as stagehands or speak theatrically. Then you have the actual theater building in the center of town, which predicts the future at midnight. But that's another
Right.
story. It sounds like a mess when you spell it out like that, but it works because of the insane attention to detail. Even after 2 playthroughs just coming back to record a few other snippets of things, I would keep finding stuff I hadn't noticed before. Like, I didn't notice at all that playground equipment had bullheads on it. It's such a mundane object, but they went that extra mile to make it fit in the
Yeah.
world.
See, I like stuff like that. It's just all this, like, in some games, I'm not gonna like name the names, but the small stuff, like the attention to detail is not there, and sometimes it really doesn't matter. So sometimes I'm not saying every time, but I still would like it if like that small attention to detail just shows that they care that much more. Just, I don't know, it just makes me feel more invested if I were playing it, you know?
And then you have the surreal and horror elements sprinkled around in there
jeez.
too. Pathologic 1 never quite hit these as hard as 2 does, but I won't spoil all of that.
Ooh.
Then they took everything in this setting.
Wait, what was that?
I won't spoil all of that.
Claw Alive in Skaven Blight. Make album of Fast Rat Magic. Sure.
Then they took everything in this setting and made an apocalypse happening on top of it. So yeah, that's unique to say the least. Still, visuals are only half of the presentation. The sound of the game has its own unique qualities to it, so I'll start with the good first.
Yeah, wasn't the like, from what I remember, the music from 1 was pretty good.
Conversation voice acting is interesting with that trademark Pathologic stage delivery jazz to it.
Light feet and heavy heart, huh? It should be the other way around.
When the cat's away, the mice will play.
What do you call such a man? A slave. You call him a slave.
Right.
Please welcome the Outbreak. The theater is officially disbanded.
As well as other conveniences. Running water, access to your own children, who never leave their beloved polyhedron anyway.
Naturally, this is backed up by how well the sound builds atmosphere. Like the first game, the soundtrack is unique and has a lot of memorable qualities to it. This
That's
time
cool.
around, it is for different reasons and is no longer the Genghis Khan-directed Half-Life 2
Aw.
soundtrack. The music is more tribal, ethereal, and mystic this time around. A lot of bells, sitars, and chanting. Depending on your ancestry, this could compel you to dance or build a spice mine somewhere. Let's check out a few samples.
I think the last one I said I would listen to every now and then. This one, I mean, so far from that brief snippet, it does sound good, but it's something that I would just listen while I was playing a game, honestly. I don't know, like some game soundtracks, it has that added spice to it. I mean, I think that's the best way I could put it. It's just because you can, while it's game music, you can listen to it while you're relaxing. You can listen to it while you're driving, stuff like that. Not all game soundtracks are like that. I'm just be honest, but like the ones that do is great. Like this one fits within the game, right? But I would not want to listen to it like outside of the game. Personally speaking, like, I'm sure other people might. Oh, that's creepy. Okay. I don't know, like, I might, if there's a vinyl, then there's a chance I might want to get it. I mean, other than that, because I don't know, it just seems very vinyl music. I don't know.
Then you have the
I don't know how to put
creepier
it.
tracks, like the one that sounds like someone scratching on wood.
Never mind.
Then sometimes it gets really ominous.
An open wound is a window into the world.
Ooh.
A shout is an arm reaching out from a gaping mouth.
It's nice.
Why does it remind me of Shivers too? Like the OST was more tribalistic and then rock, in a sense. And then they even have, like in that game, like I played it on my gaming channel a while back, but they had music videos within the town, like actual rock music videos, and that actually were clues for stuff in the game, which I thought was really neat. But why does it remind me of that game?
The music is just as strange and otherworldly as the rest of the game. The environment in general has great sound mixing. That was my big audio complaint in Pathologic 1, and it's been improved completely. It was easier to get immersed this time, instead of having dogs bark and babies cry in my ear constantly.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the mixing of minor characters. The random background sounds and callouts of unnamed NPCs and all that. I get the feeling that the voice actors did not record in the same studio. Some NPC conversations don't sound like they're in the same room. There's also not enough variety among the NPCs. A pyromaniac arsonist and a sick bandit sound exactly the same and have the same line. You're walking around, you just hear, "Get over here."
Come back. Stop running.
Oh jeez. The health kit did nothing.
Anywhere. You're not going anywhere.
Gotta admit though that would be disorienting to do a battle like that with the dizziness effect, I guess.
Wait, I'm not doing this again yet. I did check, and the Russian mixing for the main characters is also great, and the mixing for random NPCs does seem better. They do have the same Attack of the Clones problem. Just instead of, "Stop right there," they go, "Hey, suka." Oh, it's happening again. The disease is spreading. But I have the cure.
Do you? Oh.
It never ends.
Oh, that's
anyway,
the
I
cure.
thought the presentation was great. Very atmospheric and creative. It does fall short of being truly superb because the areas that do lack polish give it a healthy amount of
See, like that, like, going up to that,
and creative. It does fall short of
Or
being
is it-
truly superb because
just like walking up to that with the sun beaming down, so you can barely see the details and just the shadows. Like that is great. That's amazing. in terms of like the aesthetics, but then once you go up the steps and you see their animation,
Because the areas that do lack polish give it a healthy amount of
you
jank.
see that? It just takes you out of it and that's kind of disappointing, but I mean, it is what it is.
Towards the Slavic specialty dish. Now I'm going to briefly look at this as being a remake again. I think the
Okay.
presentation in 2 is better than 1 in every
Yeah.
single way, but 1 does do 2 things in particular differently. The first is the contrast between the mundane buildings and the not-so-mundane, whatever this is. Except for very few select buildings, Pathologic 1 was very grounded. It looked
Okay.
drab and boring to walk through, like some kind of commercial where someone's about to take an antidepressant. Though, to its credit, this did make the strange buildings a lot more mysterious. 2 establishes a different world better, but that also means a lot more crazy buildings. Even then, 1 still had a few fantastical locations that I liked more than 2.
So it's kind of like, we have this new engine, let's try and make the most out of this engine by having all these wild designs and all that stuff, right?
I like 2's direction a lot more in general, but this is a noticeable difference to me. It did make Pathologic 1 more surreal, but also more mind-numbing. I'm sure there are a few sadists out there that prefer that. Then you combine that
Hey.
with the second element, which is the drastic change in the music. I like the new music, but I do miss some of the more electronic-inspired tracks. I liked Horse Archer Trip Hop. So while I wish 2 had more of that, they did remix a few songs from 1.
Okay. This one I wouldn't mind
Yeah,
listening
so
in the
that's
background.
cool. Now I can finally get to all the game mechanics and how much there is to do and the changes and the... Oh, boy, there's a lot of them. I forgot how many there were. Oh, my head. Is someone shilling Raid Shadow Legends near me?
Yes, I would love to buy the bull. If you say it talks, then I believe you. I think I got scammed. Oh, shit.
Right. What? You
Back
talked to the
review.
bull?
So to reiterate the goals, since it's been a while, you need to save the town and save yourself. Now you could go about saving
And while doing that, save the game in general. Just have multiple save points and save scum.
the town by any means necessary, or try to be a paragon of good, it's up to you. Now your own survival depends on several stats. Health is easy. Ivan stabs you,
Yeah.
it goes down. You'll need to find or make healing items to get that back. If you're exhausted, go to bed. Or
Yeah.
eat something like raw coffee grounds. Just not too many or you die. Hunger is
What?
self-explanatory. If you need that explained, well, you're a cat. Same for thirst, though it's actually more complicated than hunger in this game. We'll come back to that. Then you have your immunity, which protects you from being infected by the plague, and you really don't want to be infected by the plague.
Okay.
Getting clothing and certain types of immunity boosters can help you out with that. Though boosters
there's
are one-time
durability,
use and
too.
clothing needs maintenance. Some food you eat can make your thirst go up. It goes on. These stats are in a great balancing
I mean, that makes sense, and that's realistic. Some foods you eat do make your thirst go up, like saltine crackers will make your thirst go up, whereas eating a juicy fruit will make your thirst go down, right?
dance with each other. So how do you get the stuff? Here's how it works. In Pathologic 1, it was a
Wait,
web
what
of
was it?
saying
What was
dance
it?
with each other. So how do you get the stuff? Here's
Nuts can be eaten, but shouldn't. What? What?
how it works. In Pathologic 1, it was a web of bartering that I called the Hobo Economy.
Just
In
dig through
Pathologic 2,
trash?
this is called the Hobo Economy 2. Revengeance. When you're walking through town, you want to check trash cans for stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get a good haul, and sometimes they're empty. You might find empty bottles, which you can fill up with water. You can save these for
Okay.
yourself, or trade them with the drunks for healing items. Different kinds of townspeople will trade different items, so you need to figure all of them out. You can trade with near anyone you see, so this is a big deal. Naturally, your biggest target should always
Interesting.
be children. Kids are dumb. Give them scissors for
Right.
morphine, raisins for immunity pills. They don't know what's going on. You can then sell or trade their items at stores to buy more specialty goods. Then, when
Right.
times get desperate, people might start trading away their valuables for essential items. Time is always passing in Pathologic, and a new day brings a new economy. You can find clues to help anticipate how things will go, but you'll never be 100% sure what the next day will bring. People do need to trust you to trade. This ties into the game's reputation system. Instead of a single
a
number,
lot.
your reputation depends on what part of town you're in. An action
Okay.
can only affect a single district or several. If you shake a plague victim who tried to touch you, the local district will go, no, we'll talk about it, but it's kind of understandable, so it won't spread out from
Right.
there. Now, if you fire on children with shotguns and rob people and mug people and break into places and harvest organs in the dead of night, yeah, that'll spread around, which is a shame because the illegal organ market's doing really hot right now. I could keep going about what organs can do for you in the hobo economy, but I don't want to be on this too long. My point is that much like the stats, the gameplay mechanics are very tightly interwoven. It's rare for there to only be one way to get something you want. The first game was somewhat like this, but the second game has expanded on it greatly. The walking, which was the skeleton of all of Pathologic, has been improved. If you didn't notice it already, you now have the choice to sprint.
It does seem like the stamina does go down really fast, though. Like in all the video stuff, like the stamina has never been full from that I can tell. I might have, I just probably didn't notice it.
That's right, newcomers. Running is a brand new feature. However, your thirst stat is also your stamina. Same bar. The more you run and naturally get more thirsty, the less max stamina you have. You recharge it, but it won't be as much as before until you get a drink.
That makes sense.
At the start of the game, this seems pointless. Water is all over, why even have this? Well, when districts start getting hit by the plague, the water sources could get infected. Barrels run empty. Water pumps break and need items to fix them. People like that. What if someone tries to kill you and you waste all your stamina running? So forget running in water, how about fast travel? Well, that could work, but it takes in-game time that could be slower if you just ran there. You need to find items to even pay for it. The boats might be closed due to airborne cancer, or maybe the price will change. It went from one option, walk there, to several options that have trade-offs.
I mean, to be fair though, like, that's the case with in a good number of games I played that have fast travel, right? That time does, I mean, it's not in every game that has fast travel, but I've noticed that the time does move on. And you could, in theory, walk there in faster time, like in-game time, but the fast travel is just mainly for real-life time and trying to save that rather than in-game time. So
remember, the clock is always counting down. You also need to be thinking about the efficiency of everything you do. A lot of survival games are generous with the time allowed to the player. You see a meter get low and you run off to take care of it. It'll slow you down, but not really hinder your progress in the main story. A lot of problems will mainly come from your lack of preparation. If anything is timed outside of survival meters, it's usually going to be minor. If you die, you load up a save point and you're back at the same place with the same rules. This is where Pathologic shakes things up. This game has lots of quests to do, more than you could possibly do in a single day. So you need to figure out which ones to do, but also survive because you're dying. The boosters you give for a hospital quest are the same ones you need to protect your own immunity. You can go into this game always wanting to do good and not hurt the innocent, and that is possible. In a lot of role-playing games, playing good means you get less stuff, but you get nicer dialogue and people being nicer to you, and being a bad guy means more stuff and angrier people. That's not the case in this game. You have to make judgment calls based off your own logic rather than trying to game it.
I'm not going to touch that.
Breaking into a house doesn't guarantee there's food to find. Everyone else is starving. Using healing items to help some random guy doesn't mean your reputation will go up. He's just some guy. The player could rely on hospital work, and that can change in a day. You kill and rob to save a lot of money, then some stores stop using money. Items that seemed worthless suddenly have great value. A cop loots the guy that you shot. Do you then shoot him and take the reputation hit?
Wow.
You can't just third-party a fight from a distance anymore. I need to take a risk and get close for the stuff. If this all sounds difficult and frustrating, it is. It's a very hard game. The thing is, it's also incredibly engaging from it. You can get bored playing Pathologic 1. I was bored for a lot of Pathologic 1. Now the sequel, that keeps shaking things up. The only day I did everything was the first one. It's not always unfair. There's a lot of hints that things are going to change, you need to watch out for them. I was having to break into infected houses to try and save babies for money and reputation.
Right.
It forces you into making these decisions just to get by, and the rules will change every day. It avoids the survival problem of being at the top with no challenge.
No, there's also lockpicking. I just saw that prompt.
You can have multiple saves at a profile, but only at these clocks. When you die, you meet the evil Willy Wonka theater director.
Wait, so you can only save at those points?
Saves at a profile, but...
You know, multiple saves at a profile, well, yeah, only at those clocks. So you can't really save scum, in a sense. Like you can save from there, and then if you die, obviously you can continue from that point, but you can't just save scum, like dialogue options and stuff like that.
Only at these clocks. When you die, you meet the evil Willy Wonka theater director. He then gives you punishments like permanently knocking down your max health or making hunger and exhaustion come faster.
Wow.
By the way, this will be across all of your saves.
Oh no.
There's no going back to avoid your mistake. The punishment is here to stay. How's that for survival?
Yeah,
Can I get some
die.
water? Guess not. If this sounds like torture, it's really not, especially compared to Pathologic 1. That's not an incredibly confident bar, but I'll give some examples. If you don't like the death punishments, you can make a deal to get rid of them.
For a price.
Your map highlights locations and points of interest so you never get confused on where you are. You can
Okay,
hold a
that's
button to
good.
give yourself GPS vision on the go.
Oh, wow.
That same button will also highlight characters who have dialogue, so if you need to talk to someone twice in a row, now you know.
That's
Keep
cool.
a tab of things you've learned how to do, and best of all, the mind map. I hope other games steal it because it's genius. Some games give checkboxes or a journal to tell you what's happening and what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's hard to make it work when the plot gets more complicated with more characters. The mind map organizes it like how you think.
Also, like, I've been noticing more recently that the more entries you get that you haven't read, there's no way to mark all of them as read or seen. You have to go through each one individually, and even then, take some time. I guess it wants you to read it or something like that, but it can get annoying, especially if you get a ton of stuff. Like, it's less annoying with, I guess, the lore, because, I mean, you for a game, like, you kind of want to get into the lore and stuff like that, but other types of unlocks and other types of games, it is quite annoying. Because I think most recently is the new Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remake, that you can't just mark all of the new stuff as already seen. You have to go to each individual one and get rid of that mark. It's so annoying.
That being snippets of information that connect together. This allows you to visually trace the plot threads so you don't get lost with what's happening.
But this is
you
cool.
see where holes are that give you an idea of where to investigate and who to talk to. You speculate on what has the potential for connections. Here's a huge missing piece connecting several stories. This one looks unrelated. There was never a moment where I was truly lost on what to do. Instead of wondering if I'm going the wrong way and need to click someone twice, there's a button to make sure. Rather than making house calls across an entire city to see if someone needs help, well, at the end of the day, I know who's fine, who's at risk, and who is sick. This lets me create a plan at the beginning of the day, decide who gets what medicine. Choosing which quests to follow up on is just as important as making a choice inside of a mission. This is a story that branches out with characters having multiple outcomes. These people could have incomplete information, flawed logic, an angle, an entire laundry list of reasons why doing something for them might not have the best result. These are effects that you see in the game world and can cause other effects. As I said before, the challenge doesn't come from the game being cryptic. It comes from genuine decision making.
Yeah.
Even combat, something that you would think would be based off reflexive skill, is a dizzy nightmare. It's difficult to do anything reliably in a fight, and yeah, it's terrible. My strategy was usually try to kill them quickly, and if it looks like it'll be a long fight, just run away. Guns fire erratically or jam if they're not maintained properly. A late-game optional mission to get a shotgun involves fighting 3 people at once. Pathologic 2 considers that a huge deal in a video.
But is it worth it? Is the shotgun worth it? To fight 3 at once? Maybe with the shotgun you can fight those 3 more at once at the same time. So is the risk worth the reward?
Video game. Fighting 3 men at one time. It can be hard to wrap your brain around. It's a difficult game, but difficult for the right reasons this time around. Not to mention, in a patch they begrudgingly added difficulty options. You have the option to change nearly any parameter in the game, but Pathologic 2 recommends you don't do that. The stand-in for the director even laments not being able to make the game harder. Why is this here? I rarely do this, but it's time to talk about some other reviews. I don't think this game is selling too well, and I have some ideas why.
Oh no, not the game reviewers. Not the game journalists. No. If the intent here is to follow a Soulsian hard is good philosophy, Pathologic 2 starts to feel less like an interesting failure and more like a budget. Wow. In what?
I'd like to present my case. Criticism I see the most is about the survival mechanics. Most reviewers lament it, calling it tedious and wishing you could just walk around the interesting world and talk to people about the mystery. That's fair. So here's why it would be a detriment. The characters in this game are well written and fleshed out, especially when compared to Pathologic 1, whose characters had traits, but they were so allegorical and metaphorical, and it was difficult to see them as actual people. 2 gives you history with them. They make it personal. Decisions you make lead to their death or
also, like, the close-up stare helps too.
Their survival. The game invites you to get invested in them, see what they can do if they live through it. Protecting characters from the plague is one of your main goals in the game. Actions you take can influence whether they get infected in the first place. If they do get infected, well, it's up to you to save them. Plague-curing items are hard to acquire. You need to sacrifice time and resources to get them. The key word being sacrifice. You have to give something up to make this happen. Are you invested enough to go into areas and risk permanent punishments? Are you going to give up an item that would easily cure yourself to help someone else? Do you upgrade your ability to carry more fat loot, or focus more on the medicine machine? You're not distant from the situation deciding who lives and dies in conversations, you're actively in it. You're also trying not to starve, you're also trying not to die of disease. It immerses you more in the situation, you're part of the decaying city, not some immortal Time Lord observing it. You and the other characters that they want you to be invested in, you're in the same boat. Their problems seem more real because they're real for you to manage. You know, helping your characters be relatable, so you care what's happening and maybe feel something. Without these meters, you have no reason to drop into a random house and see how normal people are doing.
That's true.
You never go out and hunt for supplies based off a tip. You never have a routine look in a house turn into a monster chase. You don't need to question your own decision or take a big gamble. Yeah, let's just remove the conditions that made those memorable events happen. Some of the most interesting conversations in the game happen right after you die, because they know it's hard and they do expect you to fail a bunch. I still have mechanical issues with this game. Muggers having the surrender mechanic is useless, not having an inventory auto-sort is a needless pain in the ass, and I still don't get sneaking. I've rarely seen those complained about, but instead it's the driving force of the game that's being criticized. I don't know. I guess I'm just disappointed that the games our art crowd seems so obsessed
I think that's a
being criticized. I don't.
double mouse click to lockpick? The left and right mouse button? I never seen that before. Then again, I haven't really... I mean, I've seen lockpicking in some games. It's just not. This seems like very unique, a unique way to do lockpicking.
No, I guess I'm just disappointed that the games our art crowd seems so obsessed with those walking simulators where you don't have a ton of interactivity or mechanics. Then you have this game that did an excellent job at refining a concept that they had 10 years ago, and it's being dismissed for not being one of those walking games. Maybe we should think about why these mechanics are still there and not dismiss it as a mistake. When I beat Pathologic 1, I was dreading having to play a new character. I really didn't want to. In this, I was excited to play the same character again just to see what turned out differently. I loved it. The only thing 1 truly has over 2 is some more interesting story elements at points, and you can play as 3 characters.
Yeah.
If you really want to know more about the story of 2, you could just watch my video on 1. All the new stuff in 2 is based on new character context, events, and other stuff that would take forever to go through.
So, like, at the end, would you still meet, I guess, the creator of the game and find out that it's all children's play or something like that, or...
Icepick Lodge had plans to add the other 2 characters, but I don't know now. I couldn't in good faith recommend Pathologic 1, but 2, I'll say yes. In fact, I'll go farther than that. I'm not a good salesman, but if this game sounded remotely like it would be interesting to you, go buy this game. GOG and Steam both have refund policies. If you don't like it in the time period, just refund it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I have 1 and 2. I just don't know how I got 1 and 2. Probably through a bundle or something.
Even though it's only 1 character, it's a much more fleshed out experience than the 3 that were in Pathologic 1.
I mean, that makes sense. Because you only have 1 character that you can focus on rather than having to split your time and, I guess, resources to create 3 separate characters, right? So... I think it would make more sense that having 1 character be more fleshed out than having 3. Granted, I mean, having 3 characters fleshed out still can be done. It's just that given, like, if you had like a set amount of time, and if you had to create 3 characters with their story, with all sorts of like fleshing them out, you're gonna take less time on each character than if you only had 1 to focus on.
They improved on nearly everything I could hope for. I would hate to see it not get polished up and not get the other characters. I don't want to watch it fade away and then in 5 years read on some publication that gave it a bad review that it was a hidden gem and we all just missed it. I want to see the other characters. I want to see the Soul Matol video on them. So if it sounds like your thing, check it out, and I'll see you in the next video. I also kind of want to try Deluxe Hard Mode. I like punishing myself.
Isn't the hard mode just moving all the sliders in that difficulty screen to the right?
Thanks to everyone who made this happen and for waiting. I was out with an injury in late June and couldn't get this finished, and I'm glad it's over. Anyways, time for questions. Are there any games you like you don't plan on doing a video on? Probably Morrowind, maybe New Vegas at this rate. Also really long role-playing games like Baldur's Gate 2. I'm starting to wonder if those will be worth the time investment, because those will take a while to record properly. I don't want the wait from now to the last video to become the new normal. When will you
become the next internet historian in terms of like video spacing and release date length?
review a Total War Warhammer game? My plan is after the next Lord Pack, so it'll be my December to New Year holiday project, I think. I have no idea what they might rework or add in, so I don't want to get started now just in case they end up fixing something, then I waste my time making footage for that. That video is my White Whale, after Elite Dangerous, which I might have to hold off on that for a bit still, because I can't sit for very long. Honestly,
It's also fascinating, like, not specific to like these games, but having to not having to, but making a video based off a game that came out, like no matter what, like an MMO, just a normal single player game or something like that, that will change over time, and then just many years down the line, if the game is still active, and then it keeps getting content updates, and then have a new video then, let's say like 10 years later, I think that's like, it's wild, because like the two examples that I'm thinking of, it's just night and day, like Guild Wars 2 and Maple Story. And like when I played Maple Story, I played it when Global was still in beta, and the furthest you can get was barely into the dungeon, and then many years later there's so many different, I guess, cities that you can explore, so many different classes, and yeah, it's just night and day. Same with Guild Wars 2, like, the skill points were different, you know, grinding spots were obviously different, I guess the meta was different, so even though I think it still uses the same engine, like it's vastly different.
I've been sitting too long right in this moment, so next question. Have you played a Zachtronics game? I saw a few of the Matthew Matosis videos on them, but I haven't played any myself yet. I have a feeling they might be too strong for me. Are there any games you didn't like in a first playthrough, but liked in a second? The big one I always think of is Quake 4, because I stopped playing that the first time I played it. Doom 3 was the year before, and I thought it was going to be Doom 3 Part 2, so I just gave up on it. There's this spaceship where Steve Bloom voices everyone on it, and that was the point where I stopped. Then later I came back, and now I really enjoy it. There'll probably be a video on it eventually.
Oh wow, Quake 4?
Alrighty then. Have a great weekend.
That's the one I mean, I played up to a certain point, and I don't know, I wanted to continue, like with a lot of other games, there's just more games just took up the time, so never really get to finish my games. Like on the rare occasions I do, but most of the time I don't. Is that it? Alright, fantastic video for Pathologic 2. So I know this was by the bull. Right. So yeah, I think there was like another video from Edler Kimmy that was requested. I have it written down, I just don't remember it off the top of my head, so I guess that video's next, whatever it is. But yeah, this was a lot better in most cases than the first Pathologic. Like the first one had its charm, but like for me, the second one just seems a lot better. Like, yeah, you don't have the multiple characters. I don't know if you have the same type of ending the first one had, because I really liked how the first one ended, with the creator basically telling you the meta stuff. So stuff like that is just, I like. But yeah, this is very interesting. So it's the same but not. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, thank you for watching and have a nice day.